with the elections over, the realities of subsidy removal bites harder on Nigerians, with inflation at over 26.73%, unemployment on the increase and poverty index increasing, insecurity on the rise. The crave for good governance is on. The call for several Nigerian political leaders to act within the yearnings of Nigerians is what a lot of people are counting on. Now, many Nigerians are looking for the opportunity to be able to speak to their political leaders, having been complaining to the authorities about how harsh the economy is, poor public service delivery, and the need for leaders to sit up as the nation moves into 2024. The nation's capital, Abuja, has witnessed a lot of protests on the high cost of living, poor governance by leaders, and many more. Many of these citizens just want good governance to be delivered to them, and as we enter into 2024, this will generally be the expectations. To help us understand Nigeria's 2024 outlook and public expectations for political leaders amid complaints on the quality of governance and services rendered to citizens in 2023 is Ezekiel Dalhatu Musa, who is the Federal Commissioner of Public Complaints Commission in charge of the Federal Capital Territory. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah. So in reviewing this year, 2023, it's been a very difficult one. We got into the year with lots of campaigns. Several political actors were going around to canvass vote from citizens. And then after the elections, the leaders were sworn in states and both the federal level. And we are closing the year with a lot of outcry by citizens that it looks like their political actors are not in sync with the current realities. Your organization, the Public Complaints Commission, has been receiving lots of complaints on citizens on the need for good governance and service delivery to them. How did your organization actually take a look at these complaints and the expectations of Nigerians from January till now, and what are the expectations for the future like?
Thank you for yet another opportunity to be on your platform, to give also our commission the opportunity to explain to Nigerians what we do at our Public Complaints Commission. First, this issue is one that is really eating deep into Nigerians. When you talk about the welfare of people, when you talk about how people are faring, it's really a difficult time, ranging from the exchange rates that is fluctuating, and then a lot of people, you go to market today, the next day, that same thing that you have planned to go and pick, the price is something else, crazy and all of that. And then down to the fuel price. Sometimes you will sit and begin to think how people are actually faring. So it's actually not been easy. But out there, anytime we receive some of these complaints, what do? We try to explain to them what government is doing to ameliorate, to see how best to handle some of these issues. Policies of governments, what we know, we explain to them with a view of trying to cushion the pressure and then the hopelessness some of them already have, so they can have faith in government and they will be able to contribute their quota in not taking the other way around. You know, a lot of people are frustrated and they tend to take the other measure to survive. So we try to let them know that government has just come, and a new government has just come into place, and we have seen the posture of the new government trying to put their ears down to hear what people are saying, to hear the complaints out there. Yeah, and then what we do
at the beginning of the year, sorry to interject there, at the beginning of the year there were very high hopes because several politicians came to sell hope to a lot of Nigerians, saying that look, if they get into power, this. But if you look at from June, July, way up until the year end, I mean, it's been like the backside of what the hope and the expectations were from January. And the talk here is that political actors, when they get into power, have not been fulfilling their electoral promises, although people will say that the government is still new.
I think my solace in all of this is when I watch Mr. President addressing the ministers during their retreat, and he openly told them that you will be fired at any time on the basis of non-performance, and if you have nothing to offer, please, you can excuse us. I watched it live when he was, and he said the box actually stops on his desk, and so that energy, it's one thing that Nigerians are having a sort of little hope to think that it's not going to be business as usual, where ministers who are saddled with several responsibility will just sit there and do whatever they like and they get away with it. So it then means President Tinubu's government is going to be a different ball game, and it's going to, you will only be on your seat based on your performance. If you remember the last time I was here, I talked about having a mechanism to check what these ministers in their various ministries are doing.
Yeah.
So Nigerians will be better off than what we've seen in the past. People should really go all out and make their offices look as though it's a private organization where the business of the organization is to make profit and ensure that they make gains for the organization. In this case, government and public officials who are saddled with several responsibilities should take it personal to mean that you have a duty cut out for you and you must ensure you deliver. Let people have a sense of feeling that, hey, we have a government agent who is taking care of ABCD. Ministry of Petroleum, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of whatever. People should go in there and deliver the dividend that is deserved to the people of Nigeria. Okay,
so during the outgoing year, we saw a lot of Nigerians who were unsatisfied with explanations by government, especially after fuel subsidy and some other issues that were removed and all of that. Some of them were also dissatisfied with their political actors. And so in Abuja here, you will see lots of protests every now and then, people coming to the National Assembly and all of that, because there seems to be a rising discontentment. How do we ensure that political actors actually listen to Nigerians and fulfill their promises as we go into 2024, so that you won't have all this youthful exuberance, as some of the politicians like to call it, happening?
There is an impression, a wrong impression, I said, that need to be corrected. Gradually, citizens and the general public, especially the youth class, are trying to make it look like a drawn line of us versus them. The sort of feel something is actually not being done, and then as if they are not being considered in the scheme of things. This gap really need to be breached. This gap really need to be closed as soon as possible. We need to have government agents like National Orientation Agency, and nothing stops all the ministries who have one or two plans, one or two government policies that they are putting up to change the narrative and to do a lot of things that they have as planned. There is a need for us to engage the citizen. This thing is missing in Nigeria. It's seriously missing. We need to close that gap. Citizen engagement is really, really poor. I can't remember seeing, this is about how many months now after the appointment of ministry, we should have been seeing ministry engaging in town hall meetings with critical stakeholders and then explaining to them and giving, and even taking from them some of the feelers, the ideas they feel should be envisaged in whatever they are planning. So when you carry people along in planning globally is done with the people. When you carry people along in whatever you are planning, they have this sense of belonging. They take it as their own project. They own it. And so this issue of somebody going, at times the youths will just go and protest, and then you will see an agent of government coming out to explain to them what they are doing, and the protester will like, oh, I bet we didn't know, that's why we are here.
Yeah, so there's
this gap, there is poor citizen engagement.
And other
yes, we really need to bridge that gap.
Okay, And let's talk about generally what the expectations for 2024 is. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but if you look into next year, how do you foresee the year going to be like in terms of citizens' engagement, in terms of meeting the yearnings of political actors? Because, I mean, organizations like yours, I mean, public companies, you always be in the eye of the storm. People will always come to you because it's easier for you to be accessed than maybe governors or maybe ministers and all of that. So people walk up to your office and they tell you, okay, this is not working. I mean, in the Federal Capital Territory here where you come from, we've seen you also doing those engagements here and there. But how do we increase believability in the conduct of government services as we move into the next year, so that new ministers and other new public officials will know that this thing you have highlighted is very critical, engaging the people and ensuring service delivery?
I think what is paramount now is for people to really walk the talk. All the while it's been tokenism. We'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do that. When you have a fora where government agent is coming, a public servant, or people from government are coming to tell people we are planning this and that, you check the mood of the people, check the mood of the audience. They're like, oh, this is usual issue. It's been there. No, nothing. So we need to really change that narrative by walking the talk, by doing more things in practical than just sitting and talking to these people.
Yeah, I mean, in your organization, they said you did some of those things yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw you while you were going out meeting with some people in the FCT here when there were issues, both with the natives, both with other complaints, and then even recruitment issues, you meeting with top government agencies. What was the narrative like when you meet with some of those heads of those agencies?
So, just like I said, we have a new minister on ground. Governor Yesowuke, the
Minister of FCT, for example,
For example, where you see him opening up work everywhere in the FCT. The FCT has become a construction site and all of that. But there is one other critical aspect that I want to draw his attention to: the people of the FCT. And when you talk about the people of the FCT, the indigenous people of the FCT, who are in the rural communities. It's pathetic when you visit some of these places, you will shed tears. You won't believe you are in FCT. As we speak, there are communities that have deserted their community for fear of being kidnapped or killed.
Yeah, I mean, not only communities, even estates.
Recently it's alarming. As we speak, the last time I checked, what I know before, is during Yuletide season like this, you see people leaving Gwagwalada, go back to the villages to go and enjoy themselves with the villagers, and then come back with farm produce, yam, corn, and all of that. But today, that is not what is obtainable. It is very, very dangerous what is going on now, because instead of going to access food items from the village now and bring it to town, people are now accessing food items from town and taking to the village. That narrative, that scenario must be corrected. And why is it so? These villagers can no longer access their farm. These kidnappers, these criminals, bandits, are chasing them from their farms, killing them, kidnapping them, and so they are no longer going to the farm. I don't know what will happen in the next coming year when we talk about food security, because without food, in the local palace, they will tell you man must survive. Without food, I don't know how people will survive. So the issue of insecurity, if there is any expectation the people has in the FCT, is to see how government, how the minister will tackle the issue of insecurity, not only in the urban center, but in the rural communities, in the 6 area council, and in the 858 communities of the FCT. It's not only the indigenous people that are living there. You have staffs of ministry who are low earners, who live in some of these communities. So other Nigerians are also there. The recent one that happened in Buhari and part of Kuje,
that's kidnapping.
The kidnapping incident is not just the indigenous people. So we really need to do something about the insecurity in the FCT. And these communities, the minister should see how he should protect this indigenous community instead of destroying them.
Well, in the outgoing year 2023, I mean, politically, at the national level, we could see that there were efforts by the APC-led administration to actually assuage the feelings of some groups here and there. And then in the Federal Capital Territory where you are based, there was the issue of a minister which was given, you had mandate secretary and all of that. How do you foresee the political outlook of not just the capital, but the government's focus in terms of, talking about minority groups and handling their issues as we go into 2024? Because, I mean, if you even look at Plateau State right now, the Middle Belt where you could see lots of killings happening, there are talks here and there that the minority groups are being pushed aside. But we could also see the efforts by the incumbent president to actually bring closer some of the minority groups through, for example, the FCT issue.
So just like you just raised the recent issue, Plateau, Benue, and all of that, the Middle Belt, which is snowballing somehow and putting pressure in the FCT. Because the people who feel unsafe in Benue and Plateau, they are running down to the FCT. And they are not coming to Asokoro or Metama. They can access those places. Where they can access is Kabusa, is Jikoi, is Karishi, is all of these suburbs. And then the pressure again is also there. But there is one particular issue that is so pertinent and that is worrisome. That people who attack a community, chase away the people from the community, kill 100, kill 50, and then they go back. Then after 1-2 months, you hear that there are other persons who have come to occupy the community. And then we now hear other people saying, we are looking for the perpetrators of this evil and heinous act. Like, I don't understand. The perpetrators are here. How will you chase somebody away from his community? The person is afraid to even come back to this community, but there is a group of persons who have come to settle comfortably. This person, where is he coming from? And why is he not being chased away? So the perpetrators are seen. We want to charge the security agents. Sometimes they will call president, call people, but there are people who are saddled with the responsibility of doing certain things. We need to nip it on the bud before we have a crisis in our hand that we cannot handle. People who
but the politicians, the political actors who are in power right now, as we move into 2024, what sort of quality of governance will citizens be expecting from them? Because like we had said earlier, unemployment is on the rise and it's linked to insecurity. Economic problems leading to insecurity and all of that. And even the military, they say they are overwhelmed because the politicians are also not fulfilling their own promises. Because there's a link between economic performance and insecurity. So how can political actors sit up, people who ask for votes and they've been voted, and you who are the ombudsman, how do you get into the middle and say, look, either minister, governor, or whoever it is, you need to do your job so that, there's no too much pressure on the system like we are saying at the moment?
I think one thing that should be the major departure is commitment and then genuity in whatever anybody is saddled with the responsibility as a public officer should commit himself to. And the general public, just like I said, it's not time for us to keep quiet. It is time for citizens to really voice out. It is time for us to mirror these people and then not pass judgment based on sentiment. Thank God Mr. President have given us a leeway. He has opened up the window to say non-performance public officers will have their way shown. They will have there will be an exit door for them to go.
Yeah.
So we should help him by voicing out and calling names. So persons, so people are not doing their job. People should speak out. Otherwise, we'll all die in silence.
Yeah, but I mean, you are the ombudsman.
So as an ombudsman, we have a channel of communication, and that's what we normally do. At any time we have any complaints from people, which in most cases we don't even wait for the complaints, because our mandate, we have there is constitutional backing to initiate private investigation on a matter that has a public interest or a matter that is against the dictates of the ground law. And so, but the strength is also when people, you know, voice out, we give them that protection to really voice out, and we give them the necessary backing to reach out to the agent of government that is saddled with that responsibility. We are like watchdogs, and as an ombudsman, we check mostly the checkers to ensuring that we put them on their foot. They don't like our face, but it's our job and we must keep doing it. Yeah, that's why you see, like the chief commissioner and everybody, we are always out there to voice out those things that are not in tandem with the law.
All right, as we try to custom Federal Commissioner, the media too also serves like an ombudsman, because we receive complaints here and there. When people come, for example, and complain to you that they voted for a particular lawmaker, for example, and since after the election they have not seen him in his constituency, or a particular governor that was voted for is always in Abuja instead of his state, how do maybe your organization, is there any way you can handle such? Because we receive those complaints that governors stay in Abuja for 3 months, 6 months without going back to their states. Commissioners are bringing files to FCT.
You see, that's one other part that I feel the citizen have a lot to play as a role. As public complaint commissioner, if you bring such complaint, we don't waste time. We draw the attention of the person in question to say, hey, your people are complaining, and this is official. We have it on our table. So you really need to do the needful. In what we do, part of what we do as punitive measure is naming and shaming. You know, a lot of people wouldn't want that. So once we write to you and say your people are complaining, they don't see you, you are not doing anything, the next thing we'll go public with it. I will let you know that we're going public with it if you don't really retrace your action and do the needful. We'll go public.
Yeah,
we'll
you also commend those who perform. I mean, because in that city, I've seen people say that Nyesom Wiki, as controversial as he is doing one thing or the other, he's fixing some roads here and there. So do you also tell them that people are saying that?
I did a press conference recently, my usual quarterly press conference, and after addressing every other thing that I need to do, I commended Mr. Minister for what he's doing in the interim. You know, he started in a good footing, and we're praying he continues that way. And then also, I really need to draw his attention once again. Yes, he's doing well, but he should again see how to protect the indigenous people of the FCT. They have so much pressure on them. Other Nigerians are coming with so much money, so much exposure, so much education, and they are suppressing them. And there is no way in the Constitution that in the spirit of Constitution, some persons were meant to be made less Nigerians than the other. So the onus lies on him to protect them.
Well, we must thank you so much, Ezekiel. Dalhatu Musa is a federal commissioner representing the Federal Capital Territory in the Federal Public Complaints Commission. And he's been here talking to us about all the issues and the expectations of Nigerians ahead of 2024, and of course some of the critical things concerning governance that are needed and what political actors must do. We must thank you so much. And Ezekiel was recently made Sarkinyakin Kudujua, new traditional title that's added to you. I guess it's because of the responsibility that people have placed on you and the confidence. We must thank you so much for joining us on the program.